everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. Today we are talking about AncestryDNA, and joining me is Anna Swayne, our AncestryDNA program manager. Anna, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Crista, for having me.
So Anna is going to show us a new feature that was just released this last week, I think, for AncestryDNA. And then I'm just going to talk a little bit about revisiting your results and share with you a couple of things that I've learned, tricks that I've learned as I have been working with my own results to make sure that I am getting the most out of all of those cousin matches. So with that introduction, let's go ahead and dive in. Anna, I'm just going to turn this over to you right off the bat here. Talk to us about this new share feature.
Okay. Well, we're really excited. It's a small new feature, but nonetheless, it's beneficial for sharing your ethnicity results to your family. The button up here on the top right-hand corner is where you'll click, and it's found on your ethnicity page. When you go to see full ethnicity estimate, it'll be up there on the right-hand side, and you click share. Now, what this will ask you for is to type in the email addresses you would like to share these results with. Now, what you're sharing is just your ethnicity and just access to see the percentages and then the information that corresponds with ethnicity results.
So they'll be brought to this page.
They'll be brought to this page. You type in as many email addresses as you want. You're able to add a personal message, and then you can send the invitation.
Okay.
Now, the recipient will have to... The only time they can access your results is if they go back to the email address, go back to the email that you sent this link in. So that's the only way they can access it.
So they can't log in if they have an Ancestry account and they go to DNA, they're not going to see anything about your account.
That's correct.
Okay.
Nothing is saved on anyone's account. So if they lose the link, you'll have to resend it.
Okay.
Now, if you want to double check and make sure who you sent the link to and manage that capability, you come up to this little icon, Manage Test Settings, where you can also turn on and off email settings and so forth. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it'll say Manage Ethnicity Results links. So if, Crista, once you send an email to, say, your mom or anyone you want to share your ethnicity results to, a cousin, that information will be right here. You'd see the email address when you sent it, and then you can remove that link if you would like.
I can revoke access.
Well, let's say you sent it to the wrong email.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And then you're like, wait a minute, you double checked it, and you want to remove that access. Okay. You can go ahead and do that here.
Okay, excellent. So these are the two icons that you want to just make sure you look for. This little share icon is going to be in the top right-hand corner of your ethnicity page. And then your Manage Test Setting icon is on your DNA home page on the top right hand, just above where it says See Ethnicity Results and See Your Cousin Matches. Excellent. Well, that's exciting, Anna. I know several of my cousins have asked to see the results. Sometimes it's just because they want to see what they're going to get if they take the test. And so it gives them kind of a preview of the experience, which is kind of fun.
And one thing to add, if you have multiple people on your account, make sure you're sending the right ethnicity results.
Ah, okay. So, for example, I manage a test. I have my own test, and then I also manage tests for both of my parents. Mm-hmm. And so I need to go into the ethnicity estimate for the right account before I share it.
Yeah, that's been one question people have asked. Will this share all of the ethnicity results on my account? No, it's one by one.
Okay. Excellent. Very cool. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to go share some of those things. I know I have a few cousins who want to take the test, and maybe this will push them over that edge of this is cool.
See what you'll get.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Now we're just going to spend the rest of the time, and this isn't going to be a long presentation today. And Anna, feel free to chime in if you have anything to add. But I just want to review some of the filters that we have available. As I work with several of you, one of the things that I'm discovering is that a lot of you aren't as familiar with the filters, or you're not using them as much as you could to have a successful experience with your DNA cousin matches. Ancestry.com has about 200,000 people who have taken the test and received results. And, lots and lots of new people who are taking this DNA test every single day. As a matter of fact, Anna and I both were just up in Salt Lake City this week speaking to a tour group at the Family History Library up there about DNA, and they were all so excited about it. I think they bought Anna out. And so So lots of new people taking the test every single day. And every single time a new person takes that test, we compare their DNA to everybody else who's taken the test previously, which means whether you took the test last month or a year and a half ago, you're getting new cousin matches all the time. And Anna, maybe you can help us understand that. People don't get an email every single time they have a new cousin match, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know how that email system works? What the criteria is?
So right now, on your managed test settings, you can be notified by weekly or monthly basis, and you can turn that on and off. And what we would try to do is contact you when there's a high confidence match. Now,
So usually those fourth cousins or closers.
Fourth cousin,
okay.
Yeah. Now occasionally it's also fifth and eighth cousins, but we want to focus on the high confidence matches.
Okay, so I have new people showing up on my list every week, and I'm not getting an email notification about every single one of those new people.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, again, something that a lot of people don't understand. And so you're getting new matches every week. Or we're comparing you to the new people who've taken the test during the week, and if any of them match you, they're going to show up on your list, but you're not necessarily getting an email every single time a new match shows up. And so one of the things that I've started doing is once a week, I come into my DNA results and I sort them by date, because that allows me to see all my new matches within the last 7 days. So that sort feature is just right over here, and the default is relationship, which is great because I can see, there's my parents and some second cousins and so forth, right? And seeing them in that order is good. But I can also sort it by date, and now what you're going to see is, as it catches up, because I have a whole lot of matches, is you're going to see the people at the top of the list are the people who have shown up on the list in the last 7 days. And so I can skim through this list, and I love seeing this. One of the things that I have encouraged people to do is to start using their real names instead of using screen names, because I can really quickly tell if I recognize these usernames if they've got their real name. And you can change it. If you've set up your Ancestry account a long time ago, you can actually change it so that it displays your real name. And so I'll quickly skim through these. I also look for pictures, which is silly, but it's kind of something human nature that our eyes are drawn to that. I pay attention to other usernames. So for example, here's a Mike Moynihan. Mike actually showed up in my test results a while ago, and now it looks like he's administering a test for somebody else. It's a woman, probably going to be his wife, or his mother rather, right? And so maybe I'm related to him on his mother's side of the family because she now shows up on my list. So I pay attention to these, and I kind of look for patterns and things that are familiar. But that's it, right? I mean, I've just scrolled through maybe 10 or 15, and those are all of my new matches just in the last 7 days. So I do that about once a week. If I miss a week or if I'm out, you can see the next category is a week ago. And you can just keep going through your results that way. And that's in chronological order of the newest matches, right? Which is great. And so I do that. Again, what I'm looking for is familiar names. I'm looking to see if any of my new matches have stars or have shaky leaves or any of those kinds of things, but just starting to get familiar with those matches as they come in. Now here's the thing. A lot of people are taking the AncestryDNA test, and it is their first exposure to family history. So you can see here, the top 3 matches here on my list have no family tree. And one of the things that we're hearing from some of our users is that they're just automatically dismissing or putting those people in the recycle bin. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember what it's called. Like they're removing them from their match list because they say, oh, this person has no family tree. I don't want to work with them. But here's the thing that I'm discovering. 2 things. First is there are quite a few people who are taking this test who do not know who their biological family is. And so they're taking this test trying to discover family. And we have the key or the information that they need. And so if we dismiss them just out of hand, we could be missing out on some really potential great experiences to help connect people with their biological family. Even more important than that, and probably more common than that, my guess is if I was to contact each of these 3 people, they're brand new to family history. And their tree isn't online yet because they haven't started a tree yet. And so I'm not going to remove them from my list because now that they've got their DNA results, I imagine they'll start building that tree. And so one of the things that I do after I check this sorted list is I filter by my hints. I want to see what new hints have shown up on my list. Because as I make changes to my tree, and as other people add information to their tree, we're going to have hints that are going to show up. So even though this person, and I love that this comes up at the top of my list, right? So this person showed up on my list 2 weeks ago, and her tree was not this big. And I had no leaf, right? And so when I first looked at her tree, I sometimes reset the blue dot so that I know to go back and look again.
I do that too.
But I went and looked at her tree, and I couldn't see any immediate connection when I looked at her 2 weeks ago when she first showed up on my list. Now she's got probably about 1,000 more people in her tree, and we have a shared ancestor hint.
Wow.
So my guess is she's worked with some of her other DNA matches, added information to her tree, and now I can come in here and see exactly how we're related. So don't dismiss people immediately off of your results list just because they don't have a tree. Or because their tree is not very big, because a lot of these people are still pretty brand new to genealogy. DNA is their introduction to genealogy, and so they're kind of learning and adding information. And I'm still doing research, right? I know that sounds insane, but I'm still doing research on my tree. I'm still adding information. As a matter of fact, I do a lot of descendancy research, but just this last week, I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., to the Daughters of the American Revolution Research Library, and met with a researcher there who had looked at my tree, and she actually discovered that I am the descendant of the first woman accused of witchcraft in the New World.
What?
I know, right? She was accused and convicted and unfortunately killed back in the 1600s, and so I just this last week extended my family tree one more generation. And so anytime you add another generation onto your family tree, what's happening is you're opening up a whole new possibility for making some of those leaf connections. And so sort your results by hints every once in a while and just see who new is showing up with a hint on your list. That's important.
And two, just, those who haven't linked their tree, some people that are new to genealogy don't even know that's a possibility, or that's something you should be doing.
Right.
And so we can be, friends to other people by just reaching out and
by
encouraging them to link their tree.
Yeah, I could come in here and send a message to Paula and say, I see we're a match, and I'd love to know more about that. Do you have a tree online? Here's a link to some instructions maybe about how to link that. Or if you don't have a tree online, here's how you do that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we can help each other that way. For sure. Okay. The next set of filters, and this one I think gets missed by a lot of people, is this search matches button over here. And I use this, I find myself using this more and more and more often lately. And part of it is to look for patterns in my family tree. But let me just share with you kind of the process that I go through. So first of all, I keep a generational surname list handy. Last time, I think in the last video, we talked about degrees of cousinship, like how you determine how you are a cousin to somebody. And the easiest one for me to remember always is that if somebody is your fourth cousin, which is fourth cousins and closer are high confidence DNA matches. If somebody is your fourth cousin, that means you likely have a common third great grandparent. And so I just went through, if I go over here to my family tree, right? So these are all of my third great grandparents on my father's side of the family. And so I can just look at this list and I can say, here are the surnames. And I know the surnames of all but one person in that generation. I have this woman from Germany who she died, and then her husband brought the kids and grandkids to the United States, and we still haven't been able to find her last name. So, but I know the last names of everybody in that generation. Same with my mom's side of the family. If I come into her tree, I know all but one couple in that third great-grandparent generation. Yeah. And so I can come in here to my matches then, and I can start to search those matches by those specific surnames, right? So I could have, I probably have Oh, I haven't counted in a while. I probably have 250 fourth cousin matches. I know, I'm skewing all averages. I think the average person has like 50.
Yeah, 40 to 50.
40 to 50. And yeah, I have 250. So if you have no fourth cousin matches, it's my fault. But I have a lot of fourth cousin matches. And so, and not all of them have trees, and some of their trees are private. And I don't have leaf hints on hardly any of them. I'm in a few, but not a lot of them. And so this surname and location search allows me to start to look for patterns in some of those relationships that come up. So here's how I use that. I would come in here. Actually, let's go back to my dad's side of the family. I know that there's some information here. So I could come in here and I could start to look for patterns. So I could search for everybody with the last name of Cowan. And I'm going to put that in and just click search and see what comes up.
I should come up.
Yeah, you should.
I've got a Cowan in mine.
Okay. So, of course, my father comes up, but then there is a fourth cousin match that comes up. And so maybe I need to check that out. If I scroll down a little bit, I do have some distant cousins that come up with that particular surname as well. I could then further filter this list. If the list was too long, I could filter it by location. So I happen to know that that particular group of Cowans, some of them were born in Ohio, and so I could search for that. Some of them were born in Pennsylvania, and so I can search for that. And I can just start to filter surname and location combinations so that I can see, does anybody have somebody with this surname born in this location in their tree? And now I've got a group of people here that I could possibly work with. And that's how I do it. I just work my way down my list of fourth cousin common ancestors, so third great-grandparents, surnames, and birth locations in order to make some of those connections. Anything to add?
I think I really like that idea. It's a very proactive approach to researching your matches. What do you do after to keep track? Keep notes.
Notes. I do lots of notes. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm going to undo my filters. If you just click cancel, it clears your filter and it resets your whole list. I'm actually going to sort this list by relationship, and then I'm going to scroll down a little bit and see if we can see some examples here. Actually, let's do it this way. I'm gonna filter it by starred, because what I do is anytime I have I've done all my matching on my parents' accounts, that's why. Anytime I have, let's go into my dad and see his matches. There we go. Okay. Anytime I have researched one of my DNA cousin matches and I've determined that I'm fairly confident or that I know how we're related, I add a note. And the cool thing about the notes is it's freeform, so you can put whatever you want in that field. Now you can see here on a couple of these people, right, like I've got leaves, and so those were easy to identify. But on some of these people, I don't have leaves. And so, for example, I would come in here, review the match, figure out what names we have in common, look what locations we have in common. And in this case, I was not able to figure out how we were related exactly, but I have a pretty good idea it's through which line it is. And so I just made a note here that she has family in this location, in this time period, and that I think we're connected through the Bortons and the Lippincotts. Now, that means I have more research to do, or she has more research, or we have more research to do together to make that connection, but I've made that note. On the people where I can tell, like this third cousin, on the people where I can tell how we're related, even if we don't have a little leaf, I make a note that the actual relationship, so he's listed as a third cousin, but he's actually my dad's second cousin one time removed. So I make a note of the actual relationship and then who the common ancestors are. And you can see here, I didn't have to go into review match to see those notes. I can just hover over this little note icon right here on my match list and I can start to see those. And I've done those with everybody I can identify. Actual relationship, common ancestors. And so I can just work my way down this list and see exactly how I'm related to any one of these people. And one of the things I've discovered is I start to notice, again, there's patterns, right? I start to see clumps of cousins, for lack of a better phrase, right? Groupings of cousins. This cousin is related to me on the same line as this cousin. and yet they are related through different children of that couple.
Oh, interesting.
And so I think we're up to now, I have 4 out of the 10 children of that one couple, I have DNA matches on those lines. And so that's kind of exciting to know that we're able to document or validate the paper trail with that DNA research. So really fun. Lots of tools available, and more tools coming in 2014. And Anna and I are both really excited about some of the tools that are coming. And as soon as they're available, we will be talking to you about them. But here at the end of the year, we just wanted to just remind you that new people are taking the test every day. Your list of cousin matches is going to get longer and longer. Don't be overwhelmed by that. Use the search filters. Use the hint filters. Sort things by date. Make use of those notes fields. All of that. But just check your results on a regular basis, because you never know who new may show up on your cousin list, or who may have been there all along, who now has a tree that they've either moved from private to public, or that they've attached their results to, or that they've added another generation to. And so now you're able to make some of those connections and reach out to each other, send messages, reply to your messages, ask kindly for access to some of those private trees. Everybody has their own reasons for why they keep trees private, but I have never been turned away from somebody sharing information out of a private tree. You just have to ask nicely, and pay attention to what messages you have waiting. I think one of the chief complaints we get from people is that people don't respond to their messages or don't respond in a timely manner. And so make sure you pay attention on Ancestry. Up here, this little envelope icon, check and make sure that you've read and responded to your own messages before you get worked up about somebody not responding to your messages. But lots of ways we can collaborate together and work together. And one of the things I'm discovering is that as I reach out to some of these new cousins, I'm always interested in hearing how they're working with their DNA results, and I pick up little hints and tips and tricks so that I can work with my results a little bit better, and that's fun. And I'll probably be putting together. Anna and I'll work to put together a couple more shows for next year about DNA. As new features come out, but also as some of these tips and tricks come in, we'll see if we can't share those with you as well, either via video or on a blog. That's all we have time for today. Anna, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I always appreciate when I don't have to fly solo, which I do most of the time. So if you have suggestions, I'm going to be putting together the calendar for January, actually next week. I'm taking the last 2 weeks of December off, so there will be no show the last 2 weeks of December. I'm going to go on vacation, and we decided I didn't want to pawn the show off on Anne or Juliana or Amy. And so I'll be putting together the calendar for January this next week. So if you have suggestions for topics you'd like to see discussed that haven't already been discussed, please send me an email at ask@ancestry.com, and then check our Facebook page at the end of next week. You should see those January topics online and ready for you to RSVP. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.